right. So we were just talking about, the Bengals financial situation and more than likely having to pay Joe Burrow $50 million. But that does not bode well for one Tee Higgins. Tee Higgins is also eligible for an extension. And with Joe Burrow needing to get paid and in a few years, Jamar Chase needing to get paid, um, where does the money lie for Tee Higgins is my question. So really quick, what are your kind of thoughts on what the Bengals should do with Tee Higgins? Do you think they should extend him? Do you think they should trade him? What do you kind of think about the Tee Higgins situation?
I think it's really interesting with T. Higgins. I don't think you do anything this year. I don't think that makes much sense. Let's see. What's his contract at right now? He's on his last year, and then they cannot franchise tag him, huh? No, they
Yeah,
can franchise tag him. They don't have an option, though. So they basically can keep him this year, then franchise tag him and trade him after this year. It's what we typically see, right?
yeah,
I don't think unless they're willing to give up other pieces or lose guys, that it makes the most sense to keep Tee Higgins. I know that ideally you want to be able to keep him and Jamar, but Jamar is clearly your wide receiver one there. And if you trade him, you can get a lot of cheap assets in return in terms of draft capital. You might be able to get a first plus for him, considering
hmm
all these first round picks that were just traded for wide receivers. And you look back and you go, almost all those worked out for the team that got the receiver. So I feel like the wide receiver market might be even higher up, especially this year's free agency class is god awful. And this is, like I said earlier in this episode, this is a bad wide receiver
yeah. This
class.
is not the year
It
to
is
get a
a
wide receiver. No.
it is a hard year, and there's not many guys on the market. So T. Higgins is probably your number one wide receiver available on the market, outside of Hopkins, who's much older, so
hmm
who's more valuable in terms of trade
And he
assets.
won't he
T.
won't fetch a
Higgins.
first. No way.
No, I mean he's a lot older. He's gone had a
Yeah,
bunch of injuries too. So you look at T. Higgins and you go, okay, he's gonna get probably $100 million contract. He's probably gonna get 20 mil AAV a year. Yeah,
yeah.
he's gonna get a lot of
You
money.
think 5 year, 100 mil is probably fair?
Roughly about what he's gonna get, right?
Yeah.
That's what you think. So there's a bunch of teams that could go and trade for him that would give up a first. Maybe it's a first next year. Maybe it's a draft capital. Maybe it's a player in return. I don't know what the deal looks like, but they will get a lot for him.
hmm
And I think that's what you do if you're them. I think also another thing that they can do that this was in Daniel Jeremiah's mock. You don't do it this year. You do not trade him this year. Maybe you trade him after this year, but I guess the market's up then. So it depends. You can actually go either way. But say you don't trade him this year, you trade him next year, you're still going to be able to get a lot for T. Higgins, even
Yeah.
though there's going to be a lot more wide receivers available. You draft Michael Mayer at the end of the first round. Daniel Jeremiah had him in his mock, and you have one of the most insane offenses that we have seen in a long time. I don't know how much you like Michael Mayer,
Oh,
Mike.
he's my favorite tight end. Yeah, he's
He's
my
my
favorite.
favorite weapon to draft in this class
Oh, weapon in general.
outside of Bijan Robinson, because
Yeah,
that's a clear one.
yeah,
He is insane. Like he is they don't have they haven't been able to have a star tight end. If all of a sudden they have T. Higgins and Jamar Chase on the outside with Michael Mayer in the middle of the field, maybe you don't keep Tyler Boyd. I don't know what you're able to do. Maybe you bring Tyler Boyd back on a 1 year deal and you let that crew rock for 1 year. You have the most stacked offense in the league
yeah.
easily,
Oh yeah,
easily. So I think you kind of go hard this next year with it. We always talk about stacking the rookie contract. Do it next year. Do it 1 year. Draft him. I don't know if he's going to be available, but that's who Daniel Jeremiah had them taking. I was like,
yeah.
that would be incredible because then if you do lose T. Higgins, if you do trade him, you got another guy, and maybe he's not a wide receiver. Look at the next year's draft class. Look at next year's free agency class. You can still replace T. Higgins a lot better, and then you also add a star weapon, and I think he's going to be a star weapon. So
I think the
I
other
like that.
interesting thing, yeah, I think the other interesting thing is we talk about obviously Burrow and Jamar Chase. There's no guarantee that the Bengals are even going to pay Jamar Chase because if you think about the Bengals as a franchise, they're pretty cheap, right? And they don't pay outside
You're
of
paying
quarterback.
Jamar Chase. You're paying Jamar Chase. All right.
Listen, logically, you're paying Jamar Chase, right? But think about the Bengals; they don't really pay guys outside of quarterbacks. The only guy that I think that I can remember in my lifetime that has gotten big money from the Bengals, not a quarterback, is probably AJ Green, which again, that's probably wide receiver, so you definitely pay Lamar Chase. But if they're breaking the rule, quote unquote, for Jamar Chase, then are they going to break it for Tee Higgins? I don't know. I don't think that they're going to spend big money because you got to think. When owners, when they give all that guaranteed money, that's got to be like liquid cash from the owners. I don't know. I don't think that they have that kind of dough to just throw around on guarantees for Tee Higgins. So I have no idea if the Bengals even want to extend Tee Higgins. I do think though, if you're planning on, if you know, as the Bengals organization, hey, we're not giving Tee Higgins this $100 million, 120, whatever he wants. Trade him now because his value is going to be highest now. I think that if you play next year, if you don't trade him and you play him next year, God forbid he gets hurt, he has a down year production wise, whatever. He'll automatically be a year older, right? His value will go down. His value will depreciate a little bit. So if you kind of know now, you gotta understand before the draft. Hey, are we gonna give him what he wants? Okay. The answer is no. Let's trade him. Let's get a first. Let's go move up into the top 20 and get a guy. Because then if you get a top 20 pick, like let's say the Chargers, I'm just throwing them out. Let's say the Chargers trade for Tee Higgins, right? You have pick 21. You could take a receiver at 21. You could take a whoever.
Here you
I
go.
think a
Here you go. You
team.
ready?
Yeah.
Here's how you win the draft if you're the Bengals. You trade up into that, that Chargers or that range, and then somehow Bijan Robinson and Michael Mayer slide, and you say, "Fuck it." You get both of them, and you win. You get more weapons out of
Oh
it.
my
You
god,
get
dude.
the
Oh
two
my
better
god.
players.
Dude, can I tell you what? Can I tell you what? Something funny. In my second mock draft, I had the Eagles taking Bijan Robinson at 10 because I was like, fuck it. Like they don't have any like big needs. Like, fuck it. Dude, I got
He's gonna go.
destroyed.
He's gonna go early. He's
No,
like
but I
because
got
this class
destroyed.
isn't good enough. Like he might go top 10. Like
Well, that's what I was saying.
why
I
would,
was saying the Eagles.
why not? Why not the Eagles?
That's what I was saying because they don't have needs. When does a team that was just in the Super Bowl have a top 10 pick? That never happens. And the Eagles, they're probably going to lose. I just saw a report earlier today. Miles Sanders is probably gone. Even if he's not gone, I think he's kind of dick. He was dick in the Super Bowl. So you get Bijan Robinson. You have the greatest fucking rushing attack ever.
I have no idea why you wouldn't take Bijan Robinson.
No, dude, Eagles fans hated it. They were like, no, we don't need a running back. Da, da, da. I'm like, yes, the fuck you do.
I don't think people understand how ridiculous. I just talked about how like, oh, I don't know if you want to pay Jalen Hurts. Bro, if you get Bijan in the backfield, yeah, you want Jalen Hurts. Forget about the money thing. Like because that backfield dynamic would be insane. That'd be one of the best. That'd be one of the best.
Can you imagine if Lamar and Derrick Henry? Can you imagine if Lamar and Derrick Henry were on the same team? That would be the most fucking wild thing ever. You can't even stop Jalen Hurts running. You think you're gonna stop Jalen and Bijan Robinson?
Just zone read.
RPO. You got Devontae on that slant. RPO. They will run that.
You have the best RPO receiver in AJ Brown. The best one. The best guy at running like deeper slants into the middle of the field. Because he takes
and then after the catch, he's a fucking demon. You can't tackle him.
No, I love that. That's the fact that Eagle fans are upset about drafting Bijan Robinson at 10. Dude, take Bijan. You don't understand. Like, we see in this league, like, if you have weapons, you are going to be really crazy.
The reason that they didn't like it, they're like, you don't take a running back first round. I'm like, yeah, you don't take a running back first round when you have needs. The Eagles don't have fucking needs. They're stacked everywhere except for running back.
And also with that, you don't take the running back first round. Why? It usually works in their rookie deal. You don't pay a running back. That's what you don't do. You don't pay. You don't break off a running back. These ridiculous.
You think the Cowboys regret taking Zeke Elliott for those first 4 or 5 years of his career?
No. They regret paying him.
They regret paying. Exactly. You think the Giants regret? Well, Saquon got hurt, but you think when Saquon was healthy, you think they regret taking Saquon? Fuck no. You think the Jaguars are regretting taking Travis Etienne right now? No. Even though he missed his first year.
Look into that. If you keep Miles Sanders, you're probably going to be paying Miles Sanders more than you'd pay Bijan Robinson.
Exactly. You're saving money on a much more dynamic running back.
And I like Miles Sanders too. Just so you know, I do like Miles Sanders. So I even like him. No, I know. I get that. But even then,
I traded for him in fantasy and I went, I traded for him in fantasy. I went, I'm going to trade him back. I got to ship him back out. But again, talking about Tee Higgins, the Bengals, if you're the Bengals GM right now, what are you doing? Are you saying, hey, let's get it first. Let's get a top 20-some pick. Because that's what he would fetch. I mean, he's going to fetch a first-round pick. And you want to think about the teams that need receivers. The Chiefs need receivers. You're not giving them the fucking Chiefs. Absolutely not. Because that's your biggest. If you want to compete in the AFC, you're not going to make your biggest competitor stronger. You're not giving them to the Chiefs. I suppose the Bills could use a second wide receiver, but they already have so much assets into receiver. They're not going to make a deal.
And you're just not going to do that with the Bills. You're not going to do it with like one of these powerhouse.
Honestly, a team that wouldn't surprise me, the Cowboys. The Cowboys need a wide receiver too, and Jerry Jones, he likes pulling the trigger on these deals. The Cowboys are sitting at 24, 25-ish. I mean, I could see a 25th, 25 pick and like a 5th maybe for Tee Higgins. I think that makes sense. But I think so. So what are you doing? Are you trading Tee Higgins? Are you extending him? What are you doing?
I'm waiting until next year, and then I'm probably going to trade him. Probably going to franchise and trade him because I don't think you waste the window next year.
Yeah, you have one. So you're basically saying I have one more year to win a Super Bowl with all my guys, and then I start making decisions. Okay.
Well, then you have to start. Then Tee Higgins is probably the odd man out. Like
yeah. Yeah,
That's what
because
I'm
he's wide
doing.
receiver 2 at that point. All right.
Even though I would say unless you get like a stupid deal where it's like a heavy overpay to go get him because the market's kind of dead. But if not, like if it's just like pretty fair value to what you think you're going to get next year, then there's no reason to trade him this year.
Yeah, I
It
would
has
love
to
to
be like an
see.
outrageous deal. Like the only way I think that we see T Higgins traded this year is if it's like they got what for T Higgins? That's the
Yeah,
only way.
yeah. Okay.